I'm another fanfic critic, as if you needed one more of us. So, I still have not gotten a new laptop, however I got a new Kindle, which happens to connect to the internet. So unfortunately, I still have to record on my phone, but I have an apparatus here that will read fanfics for me. And let's not waste any time, okay? Today's fanfic is requested by one of my OG subscribers who's been with me all the way. And hopefully there won't be any more delays, because I've finally found a way to view fanfics without a laptop. He requested a while ago, and this is a fandom I am not familiar with at all. Please excuse my hair, I just got out of the shower, so it's all wet. But let's get into it. Again, this is not a fandom that I'm very familiar with. This is actually a fandom from a web series, so I'm assuming it's like a YouTube channel or something. And yes, there is alcohol in this, so I'm keeping up with my usual shtick. I just don't have any beer at the moment, but there's some Crown Royal whiskey in this juice. I promise you, I would never lie to you. So, the fandom is Critical Role, a web series. The fanfic is on an archive of our own. There's some warnings, but we won't get into that. I mean, we don't need warnings, do we? Come on. The fanfic is called Where We Can't Follow. It is by AnaliseGrey. Let's take a look at the summary. Caleb has a near-perfect memory. He can usually 2 within a few minutes. Get rid of the 2. Tell you what time it is, even if underground. Okay. He knows the name and page count of pretty much every book he's read since adolescence. He's got his spell component list memorizing and tell you what he has or needs at any given time. He can remember an awful lot. About an awful lot is the point. But he can't remember what his last words to Molly were. Alright, so this is an interesting setup. He has a photographic memory, which is very rare, very cool. I have mentioned my little brother in the past. My little brother actually has Asperger's, and one of the gifts that he has is actually a photographic memory, and it is really, really amazing to witness in person. Okay, notes, this is the second time I've made myself cry while writing. Okay, as a writer myself, someone who is working on a novella series, which I'll be self-publishing on Kindle, anytime a writer says that they've made themselves cry, it's just cringe. It's just cringe. Like, I can tell you, I'm 33 years old now, and I've been writing since the moment I've learned, and I sound so fucking pretentious and condescending right now, I apologize. I don't know, it just sounds weird to say, like, you've made yourself cry, I don't know, anyway. Okay. Caleb has a near-perfect memory, blah, blah, blah. Okay, we already read this in the summary portion, which apparently was just the first paragraph or so. He can't remember what his last words to Molly were. That's the okay. It shouldn't bother him, dash. They were likely inconsequential. Something about the plan, or a shout during the fight, but it's needling him. Needling. Okay. I didn't know that was a word, and I never use it in that context. Intruding on his thoughts. He can't remember his last words to Molly, but he can remember other things. You just said that. The sight of Molly dropping. The cruel smile on Lorenzo's face as Molly spat a mouthful of blood at him in a last act of defiance. The thought of Lorenzo's glaive? I don't know that word. I sound stupid. And the bright red of the blood that welled around it. Caleb wasn't close. He couldn't possibly have heard any of the small sounds the weapon or Molly would have made as Lorenzo twisted the glaive, but again, his memory is near perfect. Wait, hold on. So he's saying he couldn't have possibly heard it, and then at the end it's saying his memory is near so are you trying to say that he's thinking about what he's hearing now, or what he's hearing later? Because it says, like, but again, his memory is near perfect. It's like, so is it saying that his memory is in relation to what he hears in the moment? I don't know. And I don't know anything about this fandom, so I'm, like, trying to put myself in a position where I, like, kind of know what the writer is trying to tell me. Let's see. Okay. The small noises a person dying by violence makes, and his mind provides them. Okay, I just now noticed, probably because of this happy juice, that the story is in present tense. It's very difficult to write in present tense. Yeah. Because when we write, we tend to write in past tense, and I'm not sure where that comes from. Maybe it's just the easiest way to write, but we tend to write in past tense, is what I'm saying. So a lot of times when I see writing in present tense, it's very hard for the writer to keep that sort of going and not fall into past tense. So we're gonna see. All right. And his mind provides them now as an overlay to the images forever seared into his mind. Bo is fuming, lashing out in anger and frustration and grief. Not is unusually quiet next to him, her eyes flicking toward the body over and over again. Caleb has seen death before, has dealt more than his fair share of it, but it has been a long time since it was somebody he knew, somebody he cared about. This hasn't happened since, no. He's not going to let himself go down that path because that way lies madness, and they do not have the time. Okay, I find it interesting that you've introduced all of these characters but have had no dialogue at all so far. And there's been a couple run-on sentences, but I haven't really pointed those out because the writing is actually okay grammatically, so I haven't felt the need to point it out like on some of the other fanfics I've read. Yeah. But you got all these characters and none of them have interacted with each other. You're just kind of spewing some exposition at me about all of them, and I haven't really had the chance to connect with any of them as individuals or their reactions to things or how they react to other characters. I don't even know if this story is from Caleb's point of view or from someone else's point of view, or if it's a third-person omniscient point of view. So I really hope that the story kind of tells me what the fuck's going on. Alright. Blah, 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 blah. He does not have time for madness yet. He knows he's in shock. He's not feeling it yet. The yawning, devouring edge of grief he knows is coming, but he knows it's there. Okay. I will point out this run-on sentence and the repetitive he's not feeling it yet, but he knows it's there, lurking, waiting to swallow him whole the first second he lets his guard. I always pant at run-on sentences. So he does something he's very good at. He builds mental walls and he compartmentalizes. Okay, the colorful lump on the ground is just a body. It's not Molly. It isn't his friend. It's just meat now, done up in pretty packaging. He needs to believe that, because it's okay to bury a thing. It's okay to bury an object, a container. It's not okay to bury a person, a friend. Since when? I'm sorry, since when is it not okay to bury a person? Pretty sure people get buried a lot. But then again, I don't know about this fandom. Maybe they never bury people in this fandom. Maybe they always have, like, an at-sea funeral where they put the body in the fucking ocean or gulf or bay or whatever the the water term might be. Maybe they always burn them. I don't know. Ah, goddamn Crown Royal. Okay. So, apparently it's not okay to bury a person, or a friend, or a person friend, or a friend person. I'm not your buddy pal. I'm not your pal friend. I'm not your... However the fuck it goes in South Park. Now all I can picture is those fucking Canadian cartoon people in South Park with the funny mouths. Alright. So, it wasn't even that funny. So he doesn't think about it. He tells himself they aren't burying Molly as the giant cat's paw of earth. Alright. Springs up at his bidding and starts to dig. He tells himself they're burying a vessel, no worse than burying a clay pot or a bottle. You're really harping on this, aren't you? They're burying the empty chest, not the treasure, I'm just waiting for the story to start. He tells himself a great many things and almost manages to believe them, make it work until Not presses, I want to hear you say it. Alright, we got some fucking dialogue! He gives a reason and he knows it's a bullshit reason. She's accepted a lot of bullshit from him in the time they've known one another, but this time is different because this time she actually calls him a... Alright, so now that you've presented dialogue, this is the time where you don't need to explain how characters interact with each other. Like, oh, he's always told her bullshit in the past, so she... It's like, no, you actually have these two characters together so they could talk. You don't need to, like, say it anymore. Since they're talking to each other, we can infer quite a lot from characters talking to each other. It's rather annoying when we're reading something, characters are talking to each other and it's explaining things as it's going on. It's like, just wait. Since they're talking to each other, they're gonna say something of importance. Alright. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. She actually calls him on it. Wrong. Why? And he can't. He can't. His hold on the situation is so fragile right now, the tiniest push will send him careening over the edge, and he's not good with emotions at the best of times. He can't afford to lose the tenuous hold he's got on his... Yeah. Running on. Not right now, so he does something else he's very good at. He runs away. Alright. We've gotten a couple lines of dialogue, and then all of a sudden it's back to the he isn't good, he isn't this, isn't that. And then he does, and then, because he's this, and because the bip. Alright. He needs to regain control to firm his hold on the emotions he can feel roiling inside. He leans against a tree a little ways into the tree line. He takes a shuddering breath. He can't break, not again. Their friends need him. Okay, can I just... And I'm not even, like, really drunk. You guys know I get a little tipsy on these. Come on, you've been watching me for years. But I really don't know what's going on. I honestly don't know what's going on. So, if you're writing anything, even fan fiction, which people don't take seriously, but any kind of fiction, you can't take for granted that someone will know what you're talking about, just because they are familiar with that certain fandom. You can't take that for granted. You need to still tell the story. You want to capture an audience. You need to tell the story as if no one has seen this web series. Because it seems like there's a lot of this where you've had to have watched this web series to, like, understand. Alright. He knows rationally there's nothing he could have done, but that doesn't stop his mind from trying to seek out other possibilities, other what-ifs. He's good at risk analysis. Being a coward has made him very good at threat assessment, and being anxious as well makes him think about 1,000 different ways something could go wrong. Don't I know that? Though usually that's a plus. Sometimes, I guess. If you're thinking about all the ways something can go wrong, you can plan for them, prepare. You basically already said that in the last sentence. But somehow, he's never planned for this. Somehow, I never planned for this person to die. Somehow. It's like, even if someone is, like, you know they're dying, if they have a terminal illness, you're still not prepared for them to die, really. Because you never know, like, down to the day or the hour when they're gonna die. So it's like, I'm so surprised that I wasn't prepared for this. Oh my god! I'm always prepared for anxiety. I poo-poo on that idea. I poo-poo on it. Oh no, I'm gonna need more Crown Royal soon. Crown Royal? Emily can't pronounce things. Alright. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Let's... okay. Not keeps looking to him as a leader and really should know better. Should she? Okay. She knows how her and Beauregard both that he's not to be trusted. Certainly not with leadership. How bad? Okay, you can't say things that characters think that you haven't introduced for at least dialogue or at least some explanation. Bad. Things have gotten very bad. Well, no shit. I kind of picked that up. 3 are stolen away, 1 is dead, and the 3 left are, got Verda mit mess. I'm guessing that's Latin, maybe? And who? What? 3 stolen. What? Since when? In between paragraphs, 3 people were stolen away? What? That's horrifying. He takes a moment, then 2, digging his fingers into the rough bark of the trees, leaning against, letting the physicality of it help anchor his thoughts, keep him present. Frumpkin, another character! God, I can't keep track. Landing on his shoulder, bumps his head gently against Caleb, starting to preen Caleb. You know what I've noticed? The person is actually keeping with first person present tense pretty well, which I'm very surprised about. And if it's a little wet, well, Frumpkin isn't going to tell anyone. That's what she said. Caleb gives himself another minute, then straightens, wipes at his face with his sleeve, and gives Frumpkin a scratch on the head. So Frumpkin's some kind of creature, okay. He closes his eyes, takes a deep breath, and lets it out. He imagines phantom lips on his forehead and the quiet jingle of jewelry. Time for this later. He opens his eyes, steps out onto the road, and heads toward the horses, and that is the end of our fanfic, and I have no idea what happened. Alright, so. Empty. That's so sad. So we got this guy, Caleb, who seems a little neurotic, right? He has a photographic memory, which is cool. It doesn't seem to really come in handy much in the story. We get a few character traits about him. My cat is using the litter box right now and being very loud. It's almost like she knows. you're filming an episode and you haven't even uploaded an episode for a while, so you gotta, like, be good, kind of, to keep people have been watching you interested. So I'm gonna fucking shit and do some crazy noises. We have these other characters introduce. Caleb really hasn't let us into his thoughts, really. It's just been, like, exposition about this Caleb person. A lot of character names with no interactions between them. We haven't had any flashback scenes with Caleb to kind of explain how we got here. We haven't really had much of anything. So if this is a chapter 1, I would kind of excuse it a little bit. I'd still tell them to go back and add some more dialogue, maybe a flashback scene, maybe a hallucination or something like that. But hold on. Let's see. I don't think, no, there is no chapter 2. So, I'm just very, very confused. It seems like his friend Molly, who he mentioned, died, but we don't know why. We know he thinks it's odd to bury her, but we don't know why. There's just a lot of stuff that we don't know why. So, and again, I said this earlier, you can't take for granted that someone is familiar with this fandom. Probably, I mean, I will admit, most likely people who are reading this know the fandom. I mean, that's how fanfiction works, right? I mean, you wouldn't read a fanfiction unless you were familiar with the fandom. I mean, it makes sense, doesn't it? But, what if someone like Scooby-Doo Cool 9 requested it to me, and I don't know anything about it, and I'm supposed to review it? Let's see. So they use present tense, which I hate, but they actually are consistent with it, so I can't really hate it that much. I don't really, there were some run-on sentences. I didn't really see any spelling or grammatical errors, which is awesome. I'd like to say it was good. I guess? Maybe? It just was very, very confusing. So, yeah. In conclusion, as you can see, I have come up with a way I can read fanfics without having to buy a new laptop, which is fucking awesome, because I can't really afford one at the moment. All this shit seems to pop up at once, but I got a new Kindle. I finally have a fucking web browser. And yeah, this is another fanfic critic signing off, because I don't have any more fucking Crown Royal in this glass. I gotta keep up appearances, okay? I'm always drinking. This is another fanfic critic signing off.